Hey everybody, welcome back to College Conversation with me, Rick.
And me, Nain. Yes, it happened.
Yeah.
It happened.
Okay.
Yeah, here in your state.
Here in my state, huh? So, we had a fire chat pit thing
Yeah.
with Dennis Duarte, and he puts it on YouTube now, by the way.
No way.
Yeah, you log onto it and it pops up on YouTube, so that's kind
pretty
of
cool. Yeah.
Yay, Dennis. But the conversation was about, physical fitness as a martial artist.
I'm sorry I missed it. I really am.
And one of the things that I brought up was that, as martial artists, that's, other than doing the cardio for the first half hour of most classes,
Right.
everything else is kind of like forgotten. There are no calisthenics to a degree. Some do. I remember when we visited Denise Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah.
Right, Professor
At the beginning.
Gonzalez. Yeah, she had a whole, segment of physical fitness, running around and doing all that stuff. But again, if you remember, all of that stuff was good for stuff they were going to do
For judo, yeah.
for judo.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much as just things that you would do outside of martial arts, push-ups, sit-ups, jumping
Strength
jacks.
training,
Yeah,
yeah,
strength,
yeah.
Stuff like that you do on a regular. And I told them, well, this is why we're doing the physical trainers, personal trainers on our show. We had Kira Sanchez on there, and then we had Mark Monet, and we saw the importance of the physical aspect as far as keeping yourself healthy and fit.
Yeah. Even the chiropractor that we had on there prior to that.
Right? So he decided, hey, let's have a conversation on that, because that is something that seems to be overlooked for the most part.
So wait, you're saying that our show influenced that conversation?
Yeah. Cool.
That's
Hey,
pretty
Mark,
cool.
good for you.
Mark, you're somebody now.
But no, it was a very interesting conversation, because everybody had their own views on it, and like I was saying, for the most parts, they geared their that part of their class, or the calisthenics part, to what they were going to do for that day.
Right.
And it didn't matter what system they were in, whether it was sticks, karate, kaiju kempo. It was all geared for that. And I thought that was very fascinating. And it turned into like an hour and a half discussion.
Wow, you guys were really on there for an hour and a half
Yeah,
talking
if you look
about
at the
fitness.
video, talking about fitness.
Which, I don't mean to say anything negative about you guys, but that whole group, not the fittest people.
Yeah, that was brought up. One of the things that John Atkinson brought up was that, he goes, yeah, Rick's right. Whenever you see FMA Masters or anything, you all have this pot belly, and we all look the same.
I think you're the only one that isn't a hard drinker.
That's right. Yeah, it's either the liquor and the food.
Liquor and the food, fatty foods, ribs.
But they're awesome at what they do.
Oh yeah, kick my ass left and right. I know that for sure.
Coming up in the next few episodes, we have some. Well, I'm trying to make sure that we can lock down some interesting guests. We have Yao Yan's going to come on, Mike McKenzie.
Mackenzie.
Or Ruby, as he puts on his Facebook.
Which is it?
I don't know.
That's one of the things we need to ask him. Like, what's
that's my first question. What is your name? God dang it!
My name is Fernando Gutierrez.
Yeah. Oh,
you're not even Filipino.
Thanks, Mike. So.
Oh my goodness.
Funny thing about that, we were supposed to have a conversation with Mike just the other day.
Yeah.
And due to some unforeseen difficulties, we were not able to make it out to Sacramento. Right?
Are we gonna tell him?
No.
I might tell you guys later. I'll bring it up somehow.
There you go.
It was kind of dumb, but it's getting resolved. But needless to say, we couldn't make it. Mike, we'll make it out to you soon.
Yeah, maybe next Friday.
Unfortunately, that was just a total cluster cuss.
Yes.
To put it lightly.
So, but again, we have other guests that'll be coming on. There's a guy by the name of Scott Ferrari. Sorry, Scott, we're butchering your name.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
We're meeting with him on the 21st, Sunday, remember?
Oh,
yes, that guy.
Yeah. Sorry, it's on my calendar.
It's on our calendar. So that'll be fun. And like you said, we have to work our way out to LA.
Yeah.
Hopefully
The restrictions getting a little bit more lenient.
Yeah,
will
you
let
know,
us do
as
that.
you all know, COVID has really locked us into the Bay Area,
Yeah.
and we can't really go outside of the Bay Area.
No, we had plans already to go outside of the Bay Area
Yeah.
and talk to, like you said, many interesting people, but damn Rona.
Yeah. Now, also, if you guys haven't been watching some of the things that we put up on Wednesdays, I've
Yeah.
been putting up a what we're now going to refer to as Nain's shorts. And yes, he's gonna wear a different pair of shorts every week. It'll be up on Wednesday nights, and the first episode was of him and his journey into the black belt.
I was
first
not
degree.
wearing shorts though,
But
unfortunately.
on the next
Yeah.
episodes,
Should I shave my legs?
hey,
get a
that's
tan?
on you.
Yeah.
That's on you.
How well I want to come off on camera?
We can see that you have white legs and that the rest of you is just because of the sun.
Ooh. Maybe. Well,
I can work it in.
you'll
editing.
see it. Oh, I know. I can see you just putting white out on my legs in editing. It's like,
But
oh,
yeah,
that's
so
terrible.
in the Nain shorts,
Oh yeah.
we're going to be showing some physical stuff, aren't we?
In my shorts?
In your shorts, in in Nain shorts, we're going to be doing some really good stuff. And I want you folks to understand, these aren't things that I'm creating. These are things that he is doing as a first degree black belt, right? To really show what you've learned in the past 7 years and how you are taking it in what we call your fifth level of understanding.
Right. Well, it's a blend between fifth level and fourth level because it's
Right.
going to be me giving the information out to the.
And just so you folks know
Yeah.
what we're talking about as far as fourth and fifth levels of understanding, in the bladed mind,
I was going to
instead
say, just watch Nain's Black.
there you go, put in a plug for our own show.
And you know exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
No, go ahead. Explain. Sorry.
But yeah, so the levels of understanding is I guess we consider that our ranking system. Would you say? Yeah, to a certain degree.
Yeah, I would more call it as our way of evaluating ourselves, which I guess you can say a ranking system is that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
kind of evaluate who.
So
where
what are they?
somebody's at.
Since you are the black belt guy.
So thanks.
You're welcome.
So the first level is always going to be gross motion. Can you do the movement? That's it. Can you do it? Whether it's sloppy or not, it doesn't matter. Can you do the movement? Are you physically able to
Right.
accomplish it? And level 2 is going to be the detailing, which boils down to parameters on how to refine the movement so then it can be used for something later on.
And also in details as far as what muscle parts. And
Well, that's the reason why we set parameters, because those parameters allow you to work specific body parts, specific motions that coincide with specific joints and muscle groups. So then you can develop the power later on as you continue these motions. But if you're constantly doing it different or wrong, you're not going to develop anything of
The right
the right parts that you need later on in your studies, which is why the details become so important, because they allow you to stay within a certain frame.
Right.
Whether it's the angle in which we attack, whether it's keeping your hands close to your body, full chambers, getting that arm all the way up, stretching all these muscles, making sure you get the oxygen and everything else along with it, and then switching to the other side.
Right. And then what's the third level?
Third level then is once you get the details to a certain degree, we can start adding a variation, which could be as simple as, okay, adding footwork to whatever it is that you're doing at the time, or as far as completely changing the orientation of what you're doing or the sequence
Right.
of what you're doing, and see if the student can maintain the same details. Now, with the third version or with the third level, you almost have to go back to 1,
Right.
because you have to get the gross motion of, okay, now I'm doing it backwards. Okay, can I just do it? All right, now I got it. All right, what were the details that I need to keep in mind in order to make this work better for me? And then, again, develop the skill sets and the...
Now, would you say that the details are there throughout these levels?
they have to be.
And why is that? I mean, if
Um,
I'm learning a variation, doesn't the details then change, or the basic fundamental of it, or what?
The basic fundamentals of the details do not change, because at the end of the day, it's still your arm that is connected to your shoulder, that's connected to your torso. So all the mechanics are still involved in there. Now,
Right.
are they involved in the same order as they were in the first version? No,
Right.
not necessarily. That is definitely going to change. But the mechanics themselves are still the same. So if you can learn how to develop the same mechanics in variation, well, then you're going to be that much stronger and much adept
Right.
when things change.
Now, in variation, as you're talking about, would certain things change because you are changing the original motion? So let's say if you're just doing what we call a 1 o'clock strike.
Right.
Well, the variation of that might be, if this is my puño side and this is the actual stick side, if I'm close enough and I don't need to extend this out where the stick comes out, where the tip of the stick comes out
Right.
first, I could use this puño as a strike then.
Right. Well, the same concepts that you see in all martial arts, and in this particular case, it's ranging. If you're close enough, yeah, you don't have to extend, because if you do, now you're behind your opponent.
Right.
But if you understand the details earlier, like I mentioned, keeping close to your body, that's one of the first details that we teach our students in our 1 and
Right.
11, because we're close quarter fighters. So I'm going to teach you what it feels like to be in a close quarter fight. Afterwards, we instruct or let them know about the ranges, so then they can, I extend, but you're still dropping your hand. And again, there are other reasons behind that as well,
Right.
other details. But if you understand that already, then you know if you're close enough, I don't need to go any deeper than this. But the mechanics have already been geared for you to go all the way down, which
Right.
means that the impact of
It is
that
much
puño
stronger,
is going to be much stronger,
Right.
because you develop everything that you need to go all the way down, past your center line, past your belly,
Right.
and across to the other side.
Right.
And because you're geared for that, the moment that gets stopped, it's going deep into the body versus anything else.
Oh, cool. And what comes after the third level?
Then the fourth level then is, can you teach what you've been taught?
Ah,
Now, it doesn't mean do you know everything up until that point. It could be just that one specific
one piece.
idea. Yes.
Right.
Whether it's the 1 and 11, whether it's just the footwork, do you know it well enough that you can convey it to another student? More importantly, can you convey it in your own words?
right, and not being verbatim by what somebody else is.
Not just remembering what the
now,
teacher
why
said.
why does that become important? Because if you're saying, if I'm a student and you gave me something and I have to remember exactly how to say it, but you don't want me to say it the way you said it,
Right.
I'm lost. Right?
You would think that you just want to, and then we've been taught that we just remember things, and we take a test and says, oh yeah, I remember that one, it's 1855. But that's not what we're striving for, and that's not what the levels of understanding are meant to
Right.
be. If we're talking as the levels of understanding like a belt system, gauging what it is that you understand
To that point.
then you have to convey understanding.
Right.
Just repeating what somebody said is not understanding. It's
It-
good memory,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean you really know what it is you're talking about.
Right.
And
And
if you-
that's why you say you change it to the way you understand it
Exactly.
as the individual,
Right.
rather than just mimicking or repeating.
And then that's why I would say that it's not quite a ranking system in that sense, because it is to the individual.
Right.
Two people at the same level or start at the same time are going to understand it at different levels.
Right.
Simply
Yeah.
because they are the way they are and the other person isn't. Some people struggle with learning a certain way, some people don't.
Right.
So their levels are going to be different. So it's more of a sense of self-evaluation other than anything else. So then you know, okay, I got this piece, but I'm really struggling with this part.
Right, and it can be throughout the same lessons where you do really well on that one, but the next lesson you might struggle with it because
Totally
it's
lost.
a little totally lost. Right?
Exactly.
Mm.
And that, to an instructor, will be able to give you a gauge of what it is that you need to work on for that individual student.
Right.
So-
And for that individual lesson
Exactly.
as well, right?
Yes, because it's based on the lesson itself and not an overall curriculum.
Now, it seems to me if you're doing that with the individual students, I mean, you don't have a lot of time for the rest of the other students. I mean,
It's one of the reasons why we keep our classes small,
ah,
and why we like to have, between you and Danny and myself, have at least 3 instructors where we can break off into the individual students,
right.
teach them something, bring them back together, or simply just rotate, because we've done that many a times.
Right.
Private classes work better for us because then we can really gear the class to that individual. maybe more 2 at a time. Once it gets past 10 students, then you really are missing out. But because you understand that every single person as an instructor understands things at different levels and learns in different ways, you can keep your lessons to such a simplistic manner that everybody takes something away.
Right.
They don't miss out.
At their own understanding.
At their own level, at their own understanding.
Right.
And again, if you push the levels of understanding and get them to understand that part of it, well then no student should feel like they're missing out on something.
Good. Well, that sounds fine. What is there any other levels of it?
The fifth level of understanding then would be your own kali, as we say it, which what boils down to is your own understanding of what you know.
Right. So let me put you on the spot. What level are you on?
I'm at level 5.
By whose standards?
I don't say that. I know. I was gonna say I don't say that with a lot of pride because I feel like I'm teetering between 4 and 5. Like I'm growing into my 5, but 5 is something that there is no peak.
Right.
It is constantly growing, and if it isn't,
we stay there forever.
We stay there forever because it's always growing. There's always
Right.
more to learn and develop and grow. And if you ever feel like you've reached the pinnacle of something, you need to get out of it because
because you're not really there.
you're not there. You're
That's
not
just
learning.
a false.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, well, correct me if I'm wrong. Then when you get to your level 5, or what you feel is your level 5, then what? I mean, do you continue doing the same thing over and over again, or do you reevaluate this? I mean, at your level 5, and you come to me and I say, "Hey, Rick, I don't agree with some of the stuff that I learned along the ways, just because of the way I understand it." As you're saying, the individual has to understand it.
Right.
What then? I mean, will you always agree with what was given to you once you get your own understanding? Because that's got to change somehow, right?
You're absolutely right, and you shouldn't always agree. I think that there has to be points where you disagree, but what should happen is it becomes an open discussion.
Right.
And as long as you follow the basics, which Bladed Mind doesn't go beyond the basics of movement
Right.
in general, then you can really evaluate and say, okay, if I put what I'm saying through the levels of understanding, will it hold true in that progression? And if at any point it doesn't, then there's something wrong with what you're saying, not necessarily with what was taught to you. Maybe
Right.
your understanding isn't quite as clear as you originally thought. But if your understanding is clear, then inevitably you will create your own ideas, simply because the way that you taught me something is based on how you're able to do those things.
Right. How I'm able to move.
Your limitations, your injuries,
Why do we
whatever
always
the
talk
case
about my
is.
limitations? I'm a broken old man. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. And I'll say it to you again, you're a broken old man. But you have to understand that has forced you to change the way you do things.
Right.
The understanding is still there, and it all still based on the same information that you gave me.
Right.
But the way that it evolved into your body is a conjunction of what you were taught, what you understand, and what you're capable of doing.
Right. And I think you're hitting this exactly the way it should be said, because once you give something to a student, it's theirs.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they come to our class, they give us money, and we give them something back. That is theirs, for them to do with whatever they want with it. And because of their understanding and the way they learned it from us, or the way they understood it from us, it may change based on their own philosophies of how they treat life and go
Past
through.
experiences, future experiences.
Right. Things that, especially if they come from a different school.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Previous,
Yeah.
previous system.
No,
That's
we'll tell new students, look, you have a lot of great information already, and we don't want you to throw that out. As you're learning this process, leave it at the door. For now, just concentrate on this process. Once you understand the process, the 5 levels of understanding, you get a good sense of where you are in those levels, then you can start trickling in the information.
Right.
Using the levels of understanding to essentially filter what you already know, and then incorporate it into what you're doing now.
Right. And how does that, I mean, what do you see as a development in the students when you're doing it that way?
I definitely think that they develop a lot faster, simply because we give them the opportunity to grow, and we reinforce the idea
No,
that.
faster compared to what? I mean,
Oh, okay.
you're saying they grow faster, but compared to what? I mean, compared to you or?
Oh, definitely compared to me.
Really?
Because I definitely think that being one of the beta tests for the Bladed Mind, we've definitely changed a lot of what we used to do, because we did stick somewhat traditional at the beginning with a lot of the background that Danny had in the Filipino martial arts, and we did a lot of that stuff, repetitive. We had great information in between, but since then I think we found a formula to take just the stuff that's going to make that person grow.
No,
within
you're saying that
themselves.
person as the
The
individual.
individual person, the new
Rather than-
students that came in after me,
Right.
after my generation, you could say. And because of that, it feels like we can really hack the brain a little faster, not to get too scientific.
Yeah, and we've always been told that the way we give out information is that we're feeding into the brain itself, right, into the neurological parts,
Yeah.
and telling the brain how to learn a specific thing,
Right.
And the brain will either reject or accept and make the adjustments for the individual
Right.
because of what they've been through in their lifetime.
And here's the crazy part to tack on to that is because then the delivery of the instructor himself
Right.
will make that more or less effective.
Right.
And then that's why we want to keep the classes small and talk to the individual, because that gives us that opportunity to figure out, okay, this person is this way. I need to tell them this for them to understand the same thing that I would tell this other person, something different.
Right.
Same lesson. The verbiage
Changes
is to the individual,
Right.
but the verbiage is still true to what the lesson is.
Wow. I'm really amazed